The history of Mecca. Did Mecca exist during Abraham's time? This is Daniel Ammari from the Religion Research Institute. This research is based on Dr. Rafat Ammari's book, Islam in Light of History. Last time we covered from the 2nd century BC all the way to the 1st century AD. And we covered the era or the period of geographers and historians that actually visited the area where Mecca was eventually built. They documented everything about it except the city of Mecca. And they documented the temples around Arabia, yet they did not mention any temple in Mecca's region. Now we come to the 1st century AD, and we have a list of geographers and historians that actually also documented and wrote about this region, yet they did not mention Mecca. This is significant because the Islamic claims state that Mecca actually was already in existence during Abraham's time, 2000 BC. And it continued to be in existence all the way to Muhammad's time, and the existence was very significant. It was, according to the Islamic claims, the center of Arabia, the center of religion and trade, and of course, its temple was the center of monotheism of Arabia. Yet, as we have found in the 1st and the 2nd episode of this series, that all the way from the 4th century BC, from Alexander the Great and his expeditions and his geographers that he sent, there was no mention of Mecca. And again, from the 4th century BC all the way to the 1st century AD, no mention of Mecca. Now we're going to examine the other geographers and historians. Now we start with Periplus of Erythraean Sea, one of the most reliable historical documents on trade routes and the regions of Arabia. That documents the Periplus of Erythraean Sea. The author of this document lived in the city of Berenice, about 200 miles away from the place where Mecca was later built. He documented his travels in Arabia. He mentioned many other cities, some are very close to Mecca, but yet he did not mention Mecca. Now we come to the 1st century AD's Pliny's survey. Pliny was Roman geographers and historians. He's called Pliny the Elder. He documented Arabia and the coasts of Arabia. He mentioned about 92 nations and tribes of Arabia. He did not mention any of the tribes which Islamic tradition claims lived in Mecca, such as Jurhum and Quraysh. Maybe at best, Jurhum have been an insignificant tribe that appeared only in the Christian era, but not as the Islamic claims state. He mentioned 69 cities and villages in Arabia at his time, yet he did not mention Mecca. Don't you think that this is very significant when you have a very important Roman geographer and historians, Pliny the Elder, mentioning 92 nations and tribes of Arabia, but none of the tribes of Mecca. He mentioned 69 cities and villages in Arabia at his time, yet he does not mention Mecca. Yet the Islamic claims that Mecca was the greatest city of Arabia, whose existence from all the way from 2000 BC to the 7th century AD. We come to the 2nd century AD of Claudius Ptolemy. He's a Greek geographer. Ptolemy enhanced the concept of latitude and longitudes. He documented the coordinates of several landmarks in Arabia, but he did not mention Mecca. He did mention Makorba, but its coordinates puts it south of Arabia, south of the Yemeni city of Karna. Pliny identifies it as a port of Oman on the Hadramaut shore. Finally, we come to the documentation and the literature of the Ethiopian, Syriac, and Coptic from the 2nd century to the 4th century AD. Ethiopic literature were concerned of documenting the coast of Arabia, yet there is no mention of Mecca. No mention of Mecca by any of the Christian records from the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th century AD. Arabia and Hijaz were target of missionary activities of Christian churches of Mesopotamia, Ethiopia, and Byzantium, yet no record of Mecca. We're finding something very significant. If we examine all of the historical work, all the geographical work, from the 4th century BC, starting from Alexander the Great, all the way to the Christian literature up to the 4th century AD. Think about it, about 800 years, 4th century BC to the 4th century AD. All of the geographers, all of the historians, all of these expeditions, all of these documentations, all of these literatures that continued without any stop in any century, documenting the areas of Western Arabia and the area where Mecca was eventually built, yet it did not mention Mecca. This is very significant when the Islamic claims repeatedly state that Mecca was already in existence 2000 BC all the way to the 7th century AD as the most significant city of trade and religion. This is Daniel Amari from the Religion Research Institute.